their stuff. Isn't that good? Did you finally get your school pictures in?
Huh?
Did you finally get your school pictures in?
That's what it reminds me of, the white envelope.
Just a bunch of pictures, selfies of James with his drone. He's letting that drone down. We might have to fun. No, just in Buffalo Springs.
Yes, I got our letters.
You know what, though?
Good evening and welcome to the City of Montgomery City Council meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is exactly 6:00 p.m. I'd like to ask everyone that's here to please turn your phones to off or to vibrate so that we don't disrupt the business at hand. With that, we will begin with the invocation given by Councilman T.J. Wilkerson.
Lord, we come this afternoon with humble hearts and bowed heads. We come, Lord, as a sinner's prayer, giving us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Lord, we ask that you guide us and lead us and give us listening hearts and listening minds. Lord, we pray for the 8 individual families that were killed at the Astro World. We pray for the families that were hurt. We pray for all of the Lord. And most of all, Lord, we pray for the council here in Montgomery. We pray for all the citizens that came out today. And thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, United States flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, we will begin this evening with our Visitor and Citizens Forum. I will be calling you up according to how it was turned in to me. And what I'll do is I'll ask you to please go to the podium, call you up, and then I'll put someone on deck. That means you're up next, so just to kind of keep it going quickly. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes and we will set a timer. First up is Juanita Simmons, and on deck is Susan Peckor? Okay, great.
Juanita Simmons, 2191 Twin Streets Road. I have read the new ordinance proposal in regard to the food trucks, and I request that you change it to allow for food trucks that have been approved by the county to stay for longer than 48 hours in a city permanent category. I also request that due to a conflict of interest that the mayor recuse herself from any further influence and vote on the changing of this ordinance, that this issue be tabled until a new unbiased mayor is elected. This conflict of interest is based on neighbors of the mayor indicating that there is a personal vendetta against the owner of the ice cream truck and a personal relationship between the mayor and the owner of the sole competitor of the ice cream business. Also, there's video evidence of how the mayor is oppressing the opinions of the city council by intimidation, verbal abuse, and using radical social media, untruths, as well as family members, to beat down, harass city council members as well as the city administrators, so that they are afraid to speak up for the citizens of this city. They're being told that they can't have their opinions. It's almost like a movie. A small business truck applies for a permit, he gets that permit, it's approved, then it's unapproved, and then he gets a temporary permit when it becomes obvious that the citizens of the city want the ice cream truck. The city officials decided to change that ordinance so the poor little ice cream truck has to leave town. All of these elements would make it very good. The citizens want the ice cream truck, but some members of the city council go on record saying they don't care what the citizens want. So we have the big drama of big government killing the American dream, power-hungry politicians that don't care what the citizens want, neighbors against neighbors, misuse of power, the use of fear, intimidation, threats, harassment, and oppression to control others, a personal vendetta, a politician hiding their criminal past, drama, lies, all elements for a great movie. I saw the mayor yell at and intimidate city council members for having an opinion, and the police had to get involved to stop the screaming when it continued in the parking lot. Every city official that I've talked to recently has stated that they have been a victim or seen this action done to others. How proud you must be. The coffee truck left last night. And if the ice cream truck is next, what's going to happen? What is the legal cost going to be to this city? If you run for any office in this city or in this county, be aware that there are 109 county precincts that you're going to need on your side. Sorry, I can't continue to be here to see this meeting tonight because I have to attend that precinct county meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up. And then on deck is Efrain Lucas. Could you state your name and your address too? Sorry, I apologize, I didn't say that earlier.
Yes, ma'am. City Control 199 Lakeview Circle, here in Montgomery. I'm here today to raise my concerns about our local produce store on the street, specifically with the checkout process. Historically, the process takes far too long. It takes, and this has been going on for a very long time. And I have submitted some copies on a blog site next door, complaints about the store, with the long lines and the non-responsiveness of management. I too have written the organization, Kroger organization in Ohio, and I have not received any response. Last Thursday, I went to the store, which I try not to do because it gets frustrated. But I did go to the store about 2:10, and there were 2 lines open, which were going through the aisles, and the checkout line, the self-checkout line, people with full carts were checking out, and that line was almost to the produce line. I then proceeded to ask twice, 2 separate employees, can we open up another register? Nothing happened. And then asked for the manager. By the time he came out and walked around back and forth, instead of opening up another line, I was already at checkout, knew that it was my turn to check out. So to purchase 12 items, it took me an hour and 15 minutes. So, I did go that night on the blog site, and I saw the comments. Please reference, I have additional comments here by people that submitted comments. Mostly negative, there are some positives. But you'll notice that there's negative comments about concerns about the pharmacy, which I can attest to because we don't use that pharmacy. There are also some comments that I have here of parents that were just shocked at the treatment that their son or daughter have received in their first job at that Kroger. After my experience this last time, I did call corporate in Ohio. I was on the phone for 39 minutes. 24 of those minutes, I was waiting to speak to a supervisor. When the supervisor finally came, he identified himself as, this is Tim. I asked for a last name. He said, I can't give you my last name. I got his employee ID number. I explained my reason for calling again, the second time. His response to me was, thank you for calling Kroger. I will forward your comments to the district manager, and we will see if there's anything that can be done. I asked, I can take, please give me that contact information and I will do it myself. He said, the public cannot contact the district manager. I respectfully ask that the city council take a look at these complaints, because we deserve as a community competitive. The marketplace needs to be competitive.
Thank you, yes, I agree. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you. Efrain Lucas up next. Please state your name and address, and then Tom Cronin on deck.
Good evening. My name is Efrain Lucas. For security reasons, I will not give you my address. I don't want to be public. I am here to tell you that the food truck complements the downtown business. I thought that the city of Montgomery was located in the United States of America, but it looks like it's located in Cuba. That is run by Fidel Castro. What kind of people are you that you crack on your own people? This is the freedom, the country of the freedom and the opportunities. Many people come here to take those opportunities. If you don't support a small business, don't put one day either. Thank you.
Okay, next up, Tom Cronin, and then on deck is Brandy Christenberry.
Good evening, my name is Tom Cronin, and on the advice of counsel, I cannot provide my personal address for safety and security reasons. Until recently, I had the honor of serving on city council. I had the honor of serving with really good elected officials such as John Champagne, T.J. Wilkerson, Kevin Lacey, and Julie Davis. I think these people get it. They realize they were elected by citizens to represent citizens and taxpayers and to vote for what the local citizens and taxpayers want: public safety, well-maintained streets and sidewalks, and honest representation. On the agenda tonight is item 3 regarding the ice cream trailer. We want the ice cream trailer. We don't want new mobility requirements or new restroom requirements. As it stands, it benefits many of the downtown businesses and brings additional people and revenue to the historic district. Unfortunately, we all know what will happen if you defy the mayor's directive. She'll bully you or chasten you, or you can be dressed down in public at a city council meeting and told your opinion does not matter. She'll chastise you as evidenced by what happened in the last 2 meetings when Kevin Lacey and Julie Davis both voiced their support for the ice cream trailer. Julie was confronted in the parking lot by a confrontational manner of the situation that can be escalated by a reserve Montgomery police officer. To Carol and Brian, don't be cowards. Stand up to this bully. Vote for what the people want. Don't be intimidated.
Thank you. All right, Brandy Christenberry, and on deck, Jenny Stewart.
Brandy Christenberry, 903 Buffalo Road. Not that many months ago, this room was filled with citizens showing up in support of 2 local families offering food on wheels. Yes. Those citizens weren't worried about the bureaucratic red tape, ordinances, regulations, restrictions, PNC, MEDC, or whatever it may be, because other cities have been smart enough to figure that part out. It's not of any concern to them that Montgomery has been running historic, because, I mean, truck wagons were on wheels, so how much more historic can you get? That's a silly argument. I've yet to meet a citizen that cares about the childish drama playing out between neighbors in Buffalo Springs. They don't care about the massive amounts of finger pointing, blame gaming, name calling, and personal attacks that are going on between all y'all. They just wanted coffee and ice cream, capitalism, free enterprise. That's all. You know, the American dream. Last month, Kevin held up a stack of printed emails 2 inches thick in support of. Nextdoor has threads at least 300 comments deep, pleading with you to support these businesses, when he had not only suggested the solution of a semi-permanent trailer category, an easy solution for the existing businesses and future food trailers, but she went as far as to actually write out an email or word to y'all. Mayor Countryman, for the record, the press release that you had sent out in the past claiming you'd come up with a solution for the coffee truck to move behind Jim's Hardware was not only disappointing but disingenuous and 100% deceptive. I wish the public had been made aware that there's no infrastructure at that location you claimed was the answer to their prayers, no power, water, setting, no curb appeal. Your press release wasn't a solution for them, it was a solution for you. To get the general public and the news stations off your back so we weren't holding you accountable. After the workshop, you walked over to myself and the coffee shop owner and excitedly told us how thrilled you were with the workshop and you were confident the council would be able to work something out to allow these businesses to continue operating, and yet, here we are. You also mentioned how frustrated you were with Dave for not falling on the sword, as you called it, throwing your own city employee under the bus, and being so arrogant as to tell me about it is, quite frankly, egregious. No wonder why everybody says they're scared of you. You have on record called your own concerned citizens liars. You told council members their opinions don't matter. You've led this town in building community division, supporting big, not small businesses, creating drama, bullying, name-calling, and general ugliness. You stood for the best interest of yourself, your best friends, and your political future. You haven't fought to bring the city together. You fought to tear us apart, all while smiling at our faces, as you are right now, and telling us it'll all be all right. Our city and us citizens, well, we're just your tools to be used to further your agenda. You've taught me why the word politician has become such a negative and trustworthy title to hold. If you care about your citizens, prove it. Like I told you, I will be here waiting. Happy to give credit where it's due.
Thank you so much. Stewart, and then on deck is Bill Clevenger.
Hi, I'm Jenny Stewart, and I'm here to correct the record, on the record, wrongful statements and accusations made by Mayor Councilman about me at the past council meetings. I will read excerpts from our neighborhood text group. 19 people are in that text group. Quote, "We've had 2 water snakes come up from the toilets. Kyle called the city. I hope this will stop this grotesque experience." Well, they said it was from a sewer break somewhere and sent smoke through the lines to find the break, which I think they did. The first one snake was found in the hallway by a powder room. My cat was batting it around. It went back into the powder room. At the time, I had no idea how it got in the house. The second one was in the toilet bowl. Its head was at the surface of the water and it was flicking its forked tongue. I couldn't believe my eyes and I didn't think to take a picture. I'm terrified of those creatures. That's when we realized where the first one had come from. We had plumbers come out and install some sort of flapper on the sewer line so that the water runs out towards the road and then the flapper closes so nothing can come back through the pipe. So far, it seems to be working, but I always check. There were 2 other previous incidents at that house with snakes and another one at another house on that road. It's beyond the pale that a mayor would publicly call a private citizen a liar and a public recorded council meeting. Mayor Countryman's lack of integrity is only paralleled by her gross incompetence. I have had to file 2 TCEQ complaints in the last 4 years under her leadership. Apparently 4 years of sending pictures, calling everyone that we can think of within the city, appearing before council on several occasions, my husband and myself, and complaining about the disgusting raw sewage that was coming out over that period of time wasn't enough to fix or take action on it. The state had to come in and cause the city to take action. A competent mayor would have handled this immediately. So stop this vindictive governing by calling me a liar and bullying up all these other people, attacking Bill Clevenger and his wonderful ice cream truck. So please, all of you, focus on important issues in the city that are being neglected, as we say. And I can say those for another time. Thank you.
Okay, and last up, Bill Clevenger.
Hello, my name is Bill Clevenger. I'm a Montgomery City resident. First, congrats to Mayor Countryman running Wilbur Love Coffee and the Jenkins family out of the city with Bravo. What is going on and has been for the last 5 months is nothing short of political and personal revenge by Mayor Countryman and her sleazy friends. Allow me to share some truth behind those words. I was provided the all clear by the city until Mayor Countryman and her sleazy friends wanted to run us out of the town like they did the owners of the Funky Monkey Snow Cone Stand. Remember that? See the pattern, folks. Richard and Dave, simply shame on the 2 of you. The 2 of you stand here, meeting after meeting, spewing nothing but grade A bullcrap to the council and to the residents of the city. Why? Because you think you're protecting your cush jobs, which are threatened by a pompous bully of a mayor, and truthfully, the 2 of you are weak. Dave, you provide your half-assed professional opinion that the 48-hour rule is etched in stone with the Montgomery County Health Department. Answer me this, Dave. Listen up, Byron. You're a self-proclaimed truth seeker. Texas Twist and Shakes opened its door on August 6th. Over 90-plus days, they've been serving up delicious ice cream and smiles at 404 Caroline Street. Within those 90-plus days, they've been visited by the Montgomery County Health Department several times and have been inspected thoroughly. Why have they been out so many times, you ask? Because of Mayor Countryman and her sleazy friends. Listen up. No violations, no warnings from the Montgomery County Health Department. Wonder why? Because of this right here. Copies of water tests, samples taken each month and records kept. Receipts of wastewater being collected by a registered and licensed septic service with the state and Montgomery County. Richard and Dave, you both know this to be true, yet out of weakness and cowardice, you continue to provide false information to the city council. Texas Twist and Shakes and myself have not cut any corners, have done everything legally by the book, meeting all standards and guidelines laid out in front of us. I've spoken to other city leaders, and in this situation, with all our approvals we've received from the city of Montgomery, Texas, Texas Twist and Shakes would be grandfathered into anything you all try to pass from this point forward. Anything other than that is political and personal revenge by this pompous and pathetic mayor country.
All right. Before we move on to the consent agenda, I wanted to make sure, council, that you received the Historical Society invitation to the annual Thanksgiving luncheon. You should have it in your inbox, and if you don't, I've got details to get a hold of Richard and let him know your RSVP, and I just want to get that on the record. All right, then on the consent agenda, item number 1, matters related to the approval of minutes of the October 26, 2021 regular meeting. Number 2, consideration of possible action authorizing the city administrator to execute a master intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreement with Omnia Partners. Council, you can take this individually or cumulatively. What is your pleasure?
I move we take it individually.
Second.
All right, so moved. Go ahead. We don't have to vote on that.
I'll make a motion that we approve item number 1 as presented.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve item number 1 as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting item number 1 as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 1 as presented. Item number 2, consideration of possible action authorizing the city administrator to execute a master intergovernmental cooperative purchasing agreement with Omnia Partners.
I'm just curious. Yeah, I'm just curious why we didn't have a contract, or, I mean, it looks like it clearly was lost or has been in dinosaur age for a while, and is anything changing from the way it has been to the way it is now?
Nothing on this is changing from how it had been. It was something that they could not find a copy of an executed agreement, nor could we, and they wanted that in order to be able to move forward. The reason that was being looked at is that the Public Works was looking into making impact company purchases related to items that were in the budget, and was going to go through this process. And that is where it came up that neither side, had a copy of an executed agreement.
So they didn't have a copy of themselves?
I'm sorry?
They didn't have a copy of it themselves, you're saying?
No, they were the ones who asked us to see it for a copy of our records.
Gotcha.
And so that's why it's presented to you today, so we could move forward with looking through purchases through the cooperative system. And being a cooperative, if they go through, as an entity, they get pricing from multiple suppliers of certain products, and so we don't have to get each individual item we buy from them, it's already pre-bid.
Was it another name at one time?
Not that I'm aware of.
No.
And Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
No, sir,
I mean, we've been dealing with them how many years? I mean, this is not a new company to us. I mean,
It's not a new company to us. It's been, I understand, before I've worked here 2.5 years, and it was prior to that. So I can tell you how far back it goes.
thanks, Richard. Your
It's got a
question?
written 30-day out clause, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's usually pretty standard.
Yeah.
I move to accept the contract as presented.
I second.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept this contract as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote, open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the contract as presented, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept item number 2 as presented. Consideration of possible action. Number 3 on your agenda. Consideration of possible action regarding adoption of the following ordinance. An ordinance by the City Council of the City of Montgomery, Texas, amending City Ordinance Number 1996-3, dated June 4th, 1996, by amending Chapter 64, Peddlers, Solicitors, and Vendors of the City Code of Ordinances, providing for a penalty for a violation of this ordinance, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict therewith, providing a saving and severability clauses, providing a Texas Open Meetings Act clause, providing an effective date after publication. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. You have in front of you the most recent changes and steps, recommendations for you guys, regulating food trucks. I understand the story and the feelings and the emotion in it, but at the end of my thought process is the county has written regulations, but apparently have verbal ones too. The county has written regulations that anybody can go by.
I'll make the motion, we adopt the ordinance as presented.
I'll second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we accept this ordinance as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion.
Okay, my answer is no. So, 2 city council meetings ago, Dave, you guys worked on me and pounded on me for, 20 minutes. Almost begging me to go with this. Let's make it 6 days, Kevin. Come on, we're being nice, we're giving them a big old out, we're being kind. Let's make it 6 days, we have to move the truck, right? If you go back to the minutes, you'll see everyone said 6 days, 6 days, 6 days, Kevin. I'm like, I don't know, but then I finally said, okay, fine, 6 days. Last council meeting, you guys brought this back with only 2 days, saying any clarification. But I look back at the notes, and it was clear, we all said 6 days, including myself. When I asked about it, I was told that, well, in the meantime, between that council meeting and this other council meeting, Dave was approached by some folks on council. It wasn't Mcallen, it wasn't TJ, it wasn't Julie, it wasn't Hero, that said, let's go in 2 days like the county. So my question is, in between those last two council meetings, Dave, who talked to you about changing from 6 days to 2 days? Did Sarah Countryman talk to you about going from 6 to days?
I'm confused. We were at the last council meeting. You weren't there, and it was discussed between all of us.
I had TV and I saw the whole thing myself.
Yeah, so it was discussed between all of us.
I had the floor, brother. Yeah, I did.
But I don't even vote.
Dave, my question is, yes, that's what I know.
I'm a speaker for parliamentary procedure, and we got a motion and a second on the floor, and y'all need to dispense with that before
Okay, well, I'm saying no. No.
I
It's
understand.
okay. Go do the vote.
I do have a question because it is open for discussion. Have either one of these entities paid taxes? Have we seen them on our tax rolls at all, our sales tax rolls?
The last sales tax roll I have is from October, cumulative for the year. I have not seen any Texas twist and shakes or variation of that, or Waldo coffee on that. If they're paying under a different name or a different jurisdiction, I can only tell you what I have to see.
Yeah, but doesn't sales tax roll run 90 days delayed? So like October would be,
60 days.
according to TML, that we just had training on, it was 90. But that was from a TML training, and so October you would be collecting for June, July? What is this?
My understanding is, if you're talking about the business of the month of June, it's recorded at the end of July, and paid for at the end of August.
Right, but it goes to the state before it returns.
It would show up in the month
Yeah.
of September.
Okay.
That would be 90 days since the sales.
So, I do, my reports include September and October. I've searched the document for the word twist, for the word shake, for the word Waldo, and they do not appear.
Quick question. Why'd you answer her question, not mine? I asked you, this is open for discussion. My discussion is, I'm asking, was Dave approached by anyone that's sitting at this table in between those two council meetings to talk about changing from 6 days to 2?
I told you that I got follow-up feedback.
From who, Dave? From who?
I got the document from the mayor.
From Byron and the mayor. Those two people on this desk. The only 2 people after, let me finish now. I said the floor. The only 2 people up here, after we all agreed to 6 days, approached Dave McCorkindale and probably insisted you change it to 2. My point is, if you don't think there's stuff going on in the background, people being pressured and bullied, you're nuts. Okay? These 2, as I call them in cahoots, brothers, approached Dave behind all of our backs and said, hey, you guys said 6 days, Dave, you better do 2, or I'm going to make sure you fall on the sword. Maybe that didn't happen, but they sure as heck approached you. Carol didn't do it. I didn't do it. You just told me they both approached you. So,
Have the council email or contact staff about it? I need to work on it. It's hard to call that. It's hard to.
It's very simple.
I was approached. There certainly was not a consensus that I got from 6 days ever from the council.
Absolutely.
go back and watch the meeting. Watch the
And there was
meeting.
options on the last agenda
There were
too.
several mentioned. There were 2, there were 4, there were 6, and there were a couple of that were at 6, there were a couple of that were at 2. And that's exactly why the next meeting I came back to.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I can tell you emphatically.
I'm still got the floor, I'm still going back
Okay,
and forth.
well,
I'm just saying
fine.
that,
Sir, if you need to take 5 to calm down, you may, but let's talk.
do you need 5?
No, I'm fine, I just want you
Then
to,
I would like to continue.
yeah, I'd like you to continue.
Okay, then I still have the floor. Okay, so again, that didn't scare me. Okay, the point is that Councilman Byron and the mayor, who Councilman Byron looks as the coach, the leader, he'll do what she says, contacted you to talk about making it 48 hours. When I asked Alan, do we have the authority to do whatever we want in city council here in Montgomery? And the answer is, we do. That's all I'm going to say. So you can vote, do whatever you want. My simple answer is this, same thing that was said last council meeting. This needs to be tabled until we have a different mayor that does not have a political vendetta against a small business in downtown Montgomery. That's it. Okay.
Okay, can I?
As I've said, I don't have a vendetta, and I'd love to see the video of where I'm harassing, because I've seen the video that was asked for. There was no harassing. Actually, a council person came toward me, rolling up their sleeves. So if you've got a different video, please, I'd like to make a records request formally. Point of order, we're having a discussion.
Okay, 100%, Kevin, of your assertions are 100% false. All I said was 2, I would be willing to go 3. I never got past 3. My rationale for that is, what if we had festivals? Then it came up that there's provisions made for festivals that would be that, and that's what I see in this. Bullying, really?
Please put the floor.
Bullying and some of the things we're about to put in place as far as protocol will help us proceed with meetings in a calm and rational way. And you keep bringing up these types of things, and you don't know me if you think I can be bullied. You don't know me. You do not know me. Because I ain't getting bullied by anybody. And I've been on record since the end of August. It's in writing. It's in writing. I was the only council member to put it in writing. Go read it. At no time was I ever convinced that this was a good idea. And as I stated, look at the grand plan. It further enforces the elements of safety. One gentleman talked about safety. Let's talk about safety. I was in that parking lot. And I'm also on record as saying, good golly, I wish I'd have gone back to been able to be here and say, what are y'all thinking to let go of precious parking space to begin with? But that's neither here nor there. We can pull out all this stuff till the cows come home. But for me, you asked, and I went to you. After I said 2 to 3 days, Dave. She didn't ask me to do that. She don't ask me to do anything. I do what I do, because I can think for myself. So all your assertions are wrong. And when wrong assertions are baseless like that, you get into a tizzy, and that's what this is. And by the way, more misrepresentation, all these so-called voters in here, did you canvass the ones that are actually voters? No, you didn't.
Yeah,
my suspicion, so I want to see a record of that. Either way, I think for myself, and I'll do what's best interest for the city.
Prove it.
And if that means, I'm doing it now. I made the motion, sir. Let's roll.
Order to order. We're here for everybody in the city. I've said that before. We're here for the whole entire city, not for one business owner. And at the end of the day, I mean, good business decision, bad business decision, buying just a parking lot, buying something to put a building on, all different things that we don't control what we purchase. However, what we do is set ordinance and policy. And what we're doing and trying to do is set ordinance and policy on how to move forward with this new way of providing food in restaurants, since our ordinance had not been updated since 1996. And I'm in it for all the citizens and all the businesses and from everybody from boundary to boundary. And that is, I'm not here representing just one person and one entity. And the last thing I challenge you to find anybody that calls me a bully. I'm not a bully. I just want it done right. And if there's 6 people that think I'm a bully, so be it. But outside of that, I have a much better reputation and appreciate that. So with that, there is a motion on the table. It's been first and seconded. Is there any other discussion, council?
Dave, in this ordinance, I guess I must have missed it. Was there anything there about private property? Or just city-owned and public?
You have to have the permission of the private property owner if you are a mobile vendor. So if I owned a trailer and wanted to go onto your property, I would need to show the city in the, I guess, the course of getting my permit, I would have to show the city that I've got a letter from you, a lease, or something from you, the property owner, that says I know that they.
But if I own the property, like if I own property where I am and I want to put a trailer, I wouldn't have to get permission from myself, would I?
But you're residential.
No, but you're not able to do, you're not able to kind of, dance in both, halves of the ordinance there. You can open up a business on your property if you've got the property.
If I turn it into commercial.
Yeah, so if it were commercial, let's just say for argument's sake now that you live on a commercial piece of property and you want to own it, or you want to open a vendor, a mobile food truck out front. You either need a mobile food vendor, so you keep the food vendor over at your restaurant, or behind the restaurant, or over at your storage building, where you keep all your other, business-related stuff. And it comes out and sits in front of your house every day, and it goes back and gets, put up in the garage. Or you say, I want this to be here all the time. And so I know that when I do things like deal with food and make food waste, that I need to have things like a grease trap. I'm going to have folks that are going to be showing up here every day. I need to plan on how they're going to park. If I'm going to plan on how they're going to park, am I going to do anything to the surface, and is that going to affect the drainage? Where do people sit, where do people... And so you would develop it like you were developing a business.
Okay, in that 48 hours the county has, do they have somebody go out and inspect, make sure they move 48 hours?
In short, not that we know of.
No,
They do check some. Obviously, Mr. President's had them out there at his place a few times, so I know they're all out and about, but I don't think they're staffed to the point where they would say that they have all the resources.
No, because I went through Willis and I went through 1485 or 13 whatever going toward New Canaan, Splendora, Fraser Street. None of them moved.
Right. And so what the county's rules say is they say, well, if those guys aren't going to move, we're going to count them as a food establishment. And that ought to kick them over to needing to do things like make sure you've got a grease trap so you're not, sending fats over the grease trap.
These on 105 down here across from Walmart, and then it's another one about a tire place. It just, they got the canopy over.
They're not in town, or they sure don't give the appearance of going anywhere, anytime soon. And that's our dilemma is, we look at the county, so our rules right now, the issue is our rules say you need to follow the county rules. And when we look at, again, what the written rules are, because we can't find any piece of paper that tells us.
No, I know, I couldn't find it. And even when I look for their permit for how long, only thing I found current would say 1 year,
Their current one that just got adopted May 27th says, I think 4 hours or 6 hours.
This one I pulled up last night and it got roadside food in the 1 year.
But they don't allow it in their seating
And it got
downtown.
mobile food truck 1 year.
That's the term of their permit, but not how long they're in one place.
Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the permit, but I couldn't find anything on the county. Even the city of Conroe, I know they don't want them in the historical, but I didn't find anywhere where they were inspecting them and making anybody move after 2
The
days.
city of Conroe says, you've got 6 hours, you can't be more than 6 hours within 100 yards of your spot. So again, they're...
But Dave, are we responsible for enforcing county rules outside of the city?
No.
So everything we just discussed is a moot point?
Well, not in the context, it adds to the context of what the county is doing. And if there's an issue with saying, we just rely on the county rules, but we're not going to really have any of our own, because then we run into the situation of, well, is the county enforcing their rules, or is there some verbal exception that we don't, that we're not party to, that we don't know that someone is operating?
And if I was correct, that was part of your concern, give us something that's enforceable so that our enforcer agent, whatever we call him, code enforcer that we're about to get. That'll be his job. And as we talked about at the retreat, okay, council, if we're going to have this, you remember that, TJ? Are you willing to support? And we all went, yes.
Okay.
And so we, that's part of the discussion.
And jumping ahead, I guess, Dave, on that, with that comprehensive plan, did that trailer tie into downtown area, the historical area? I think they proposing the ribbons and the flags and the tables outside and all this stuff.
Certainly, all types of development, I think, have they all have a spot to go, and certainly in the downtown, and it's just a matter of using something that is very clearly never meant to be a permanent business solution, because we only give it to you 6 months at a time. The local's in the title. Using that as a tool to open a fixed location forever. My thought is, because to us, it really, I hate to say it doesn't matter. It's my town. It's been my town for 16 years. It doesn't matter. It matters a lot to me. But we will do whatever you guys want us to do. If you want us to enforce any regulations on food trucks, give them to us and let us go. But if you don't, by the same token, whether we agree personally or not, we'll do exactly that. We'll do what you want as long as it's within the bounds of the law. What my recommendation would be, if you don't have any interest in enforcing food trucks, or you're interested in 6 days or something like that, let's just not change our ordinance now. Let's not do something that gives people points of confusion between the city's rules and the county's rules.
There you go.
Following. If we're going to adopt rules, I would strongly encourage you to keep them consistent with the county to provide clarity to folks who are trying to do business in a sea of what's already a lot of rules. Let's at least make them logically the same where they ought to be for folks doing the same type of thing.
I would say to clarify, what TJ was talking about is how the food truck design goes along with the new plan. It has all the flags and the patriotic stuff downtown. He wasn't talking about is there space for it. He said with the flag on the side of the street match the flag on the side of the food truck.
Right. Yeah.
But to go to tie into what you were saying just now, is that I get it. It's simple and easy to just copy the county and be done with that. But what I'm here for is to do what the voters want, and they said no. In fact, they said no all over the place. They loved it. They're very upset that the coffee shop left. They want for ice cream downtown. That's it. That's all the voters want. They want those 2 places to be left alone downtown, have your coffee, have your ice cream, and move on with life. For goodness sake, let's fix the drainage and the snakes and whatever else we got to do about. That's what the voters want. We don't have to do this, guys. We don't have to be a city
I
council.
strongly recommend we adopt the ordinance as presented. We have a motion, we have a second. We
I was still talking. Again, you think you can cut me off, but everyone else can talk? No. Thank you very much. Twice I've been cut off by the mayor and by Byron, and I have the floor. Let the record show that again. So the whole point is you all up here have a duty to the voters to do what they want you to do. They want the food
Inside the
trucks.
city and the businesses inside the city.
And we want them here. We want them here. All of them. We have people from the city who own the Cozy Grape sitting right here in front of you. And guess what? They count just as much as the other small business owners.
Everybody has a say and have an equal say. You're right.
So the whole point is again, you got a choice, guys. You can be the council that shuts them down and runs them out of town, or you can let the ice cream truck and coffee shop stay like the voters want, and that's it. Go ahead
We're
and
just
vote.
looking for businesses to follow ordinances, and if you're going to be permanent, then have like a permanent establishment with restrooms and the proper plumbing and all of that, and platted like a regular restaurant, here every day, all day long restaurant.
You guys go ahead and vote if you want to vote.
Roll call.
It's still open. You ready?
Roll call.
No? You ready for the question, council? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the ordinance as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay.
No.
The nays have it, the motion carries, and we will not accept the ordinance as presented. Item number 4 on your agenda. Consideration and possible action to adopt the downtown design master plan.
Okay, the development of this plan has been worked on for some time. What we're going to see tonight is the plan that was put forth by White Oak City Corporation as a result of this contract Council will probably remember that in the previous year's budget, that was something the council authorized in the budget, that adopted by the EDC at a special meeting that took place, I believe it was the 1st of November. And so it's coming here to City Council with the hope that a concurrent adoption by council opens up grant opportunities that are available for funding for some of this work, because while the NEDC's adoption does allow some ability to move forward, they are not paying the city. It doesn't open up the same grant opportunities that City Council approval will open up. And it's our thought from the staff point of view going forward, a lot of this work will be cooperative both with city and EDC funding while also looking for grant funding for that. With that, I'll turn the floor over to our presenter.
Thank you, Rick. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jim Patterson. I'm a landscape architect at White Oak Studio. And we have been working with Boone Corporation. Laura Samuel Dolce represents them tonight. I'm going to run through this in about 15 minutes to respect your time. We're happy to answer any questions or take as long as you want, but we want to kind of run through everything fairly briefly. I can get the slides. Okay, it seems to be going now. Thank you. We have a three-part vision that focuses on the businesses of downtown, the visitors, that they need to support those businesses with a three-pronged approach of improving the arrival and parking experience, providing public streetscape improvements, and to create a safe, enjoyable pedestrian environment. This is the overall plan, and we'll go through it in various pieces. First is State Highway 105, with the goal of making downtown more visible to drivers on 105, allowing the city to cooperate with the TxDOT improvement project to make Highway 105 safer for drivers and pedestrians and more beautiful, and to make downtown more visible from 105. This is the overall plan. You see 105 running horizontally across and 149 or Liberty Street running vertically. There are several parts of, there are several parts of the improvements to 105. At Prairie Street, where there's an awkward intersection, we would create a standard width intersection and beautify it and make it provide stacking space for cars there and make it a safer, more attractive intersection. We understand through cooperation and coordination with TxDOT that they will be looking at an access management plan all the way along 105, and that might include medians and turn lanes. And so it's an opportunity for the city to build upon that project, adding sidewalks and planted medians, decorative light poles, and large Texas flags are our suggestions for that area. Mcallen Street comes through to 105 now. TxDOT is interested in limiting intersections as they are close, where they are close to the intersection of 149. And so this allows traffic on Mcallen to access the businesses, but shuts off access to 105. We would have sidewalks and plantings and other things to make it safer and more attractive, and improvements along John A. Butler to make it safer and more attractive and provide good access to those businesses. The driveways to the businesses would be maintained. It's just Mcallen that would be blocked off. At Liberty Street, arguably one of the two most important intersections in the historic downtown, we would upgrade the intersection and provide for safety and high visibility of downtown. The Virginia Adams slot at the northeast corner of that intersection is a really important location with high visibility for lots of traffic. we've suggested two possible approaches. This would need to be designed in detail. Both of them provide highly visible, fun photo op images to make downtown Montgomery visible and promote it to guests. This is how that one would be arranged with the large letters and the Texas flag, backed by a small park taking up the rest of that lot. An alternate approach might be to move two historic buildings to the property and to have pedestrian and retail or hospitality space between those buildings. Moving to 149, we're going to start at the north end. If this is the heart of your historic downtown, it's also a Texas, TxDOT right-of-way that's 50 feet wide, which is fairly narrow compared to 105. And so it's another opportunity to coordinate with TxDOT when they are going to do upgrades to the street. Up at the north end, beginning at Berkeley, we would propose an entrance into downtown that would be welcoming and beautify the entrance, but it would also improve safety by slowing vehicular traffic down as it comes in from the north. Would have a roundabout, as you see, at the intersection with Clever, which we were pleasantly surprised to hear great support from TxDOT in terms of safety, in terms of vehicular accidents and pedestrian safety. There would be an opportunity for signs and monumentation to signify to visitors that they're entering the historic downtown Montgomery. Within the core area, from that roundabout south all the way to 105, it is the heart of your downtown, and we would provide for a safe, walkable, connected shopping district that would emphasize pedestrian spaces and outdoor dining and seating, decorative lighting and banners and street furniture to provide an attractive, pedestrian-oriented environment. All of this, as I said, to not only facilitate a better environment for businesses to thrive, but also to attract customers to those businesses. We have several sketches showing how the improvements might be included with street trees to provide shade and decorative lighting and plantings and places for people to sit, and opportunities for businesses to display their wares on the sidewalk. Another image. One thing that's unique about Montgomery is your past history of using both the public right-of-way and adjacent private property for those businesses. And this shows an example of how the public sidewalk is both on the highway right-of-way, and then businesses would use the space that's behind that right-of-way on private property for amenities that would also cater to pedestrians and visitors. We looked at a number of options for parking along Liberty, and in working with TxDOT and representatives of your administration concluded that it was preferable to focus on off-street parking that is accessed from side streets and not have people pull directly from Liberty into parking. There are a few, around 25 poorly defined kind of casual parking spaces along Liberty in that area. And when we looked at what would be required to provide parallel or head-in parking to accomplish that, it really took up most of the available space where the urban sidewalk amenities would go. And so this illustrates a shared approach to downtown parking, the green spaces that where the city would work with the private businesses to provide a shared parking approach.
Those are already parking spots, or would those be creating more? Looks like what I can see, those are already parking spots.
Largely, they are existing parking, some private, some public, and so we're encouraging a a parking plan that would be a cooperative approach to that. And thank you. One thing I neglected to mention is events are really important to your city. Just like any business, it is not a good idea to design everyday parking spaces for the peak capacity. And so we've identified a couple of locations, one over in the shopping center south of 105 and one at Jim's Hardware, that we would hope that the city could work with those organizations to provide event parking space to then have shuttles or other ways to get people into town, into downtown. This just shows some examples. This happens to be in downtown Fort Worth where they've upgraded what would normally be just asphalt parking lots with decorative fencing and planting and gateways. Another important part of it is to use pedestrian throughways. There are gaps between buildings that can provide connections for people to walk from Liberty to the streets parallel, like Mcallen and Pond. Thank you. I drew a blank on that. We also provided for several 15-minute parking spaces that would allow if you had ordered a hamburger to go by and pick that up, or needed to pick up a piece of furniture that you had purchased, or to allow a shop owner to pull over and unload, to provide that opportunity so we're not cutting off parking entirely along Liberty. Now, this is a long stretch. In the event that you have such great success that you need more parking than what we showed on the previous slide, in the future you might consider other solutions. And one of those solutions could be, if you decided to consider a small parking garage that might have at-grade retail and could be designed in a way that was architecturally compatible, in a way that your public was satisfied with. But we really don't see this as being necessary or important for a long time until you have great success and you're overflowing. One of the projects that is really exciting along Mcallen between College and Caroline is to close a portion of Mcallen and become a pedestrian space that would still have access for emergency vehicles and deliveries, but would allow cars to circulate and to park and maintain the same amount of parking that is along Mcallen now. You see the parking space, the parking lot just north of Caroline would be configured to where it would have internal circulation and still provide complete access to those businesses the way it does today. Also coming in from College, there'd be the spaces along that first portion of the block. Adjacent to that is what you all know as the Jacobs lot. We would encourage you to realign the parking area to College Street and to improve the area out in front of the pavilion, to look at possible improvements or replacement in the future of the pavilion, to provide a festival lawn and other amenities that would be great both on a day-to-day basis and also during festivals. And of course, this is just across the street from your community center, and it would provide a great anchor at the north end of the historic downtown for festivals. We wanted to look in a cursory way at the community building, not really weighing in on what should happen with the building itself, but we could enhance the grounds around the building to actively engage with downtown on a day-to-day basis, where it could be a private park with picnic tables and benches and walking trails. We can expand the parking and also even provide grass overflow parking on the north side of the community building and still maintain the spirit of the way that the property is today. Clever is the north boundary of the historic downtown, and we know it extends out of downtown, going to the east. And we're looking at an approach that would, when you are ready to upgrade Clever, you would enclose the roadside ditches and build storm drainage pipes and build a 28-foot wide curb and gutter road that would then give you the room to have a wide, almost hike and bike trail on the north side that would accommodate both pedestrians and golf carts and other things. And on the south side of the road, you'd have a normal 5-foot sidewalk width for pedestrians. And on both sides, you could separate those sidewalks from the street with grass and trees to have a safer walking condition. This might be both within the downtown area and then outside of our project could extend on east as you decide to develop that street. Prairie Street is the east boundary of the historic downtown. It is a very quiet street now that we, as you are comfortable walking in the middle of the street, and so we really don't see a need for changes on Prairie for the foreseeable future. But if in the future downtown develops adequately where the traffic is increased, it could be developed in what's called a traditional neighborhood approach, where there are sidewalks and street trees and fences along, low fences along the properties to have a very appropriate small town Texas feel to Prairie. That's in the future as you experience greater development. You already have some lights and signs and benches that you are going to use as your standards. And so we envision selecting furnishings that are compatible with those and that you can use throughout downtown. Lori, you want to talk briefly about utilities?
I'm going to add one more slide before we get into utilities regarding the zoning and land use. As you know, it's an important category, and part of the recommendation is to review your existing overlay districts and your zoning districts in the downtown area to ensure there is good consistency for the development types you want and the improvements that you need. One part of that is addressing facade regulation, building setbacks, signage, whether it's attached or detached in the buildings, and landscaping.
We're going to get you to talk into the microphone. Your voice is soft. We're having a hard time hearing you.
Mics don't like me. I had this issue at many council meetings. I'm just too quiet. For infrastructure, we have facilities and drainage. Those are important things to look at for the master plan for the downtown area so that you can make sure you're accommodating for any improvements, redevelopment, and investments in the area. You also want to look at your roads, develop typical road sections for the downtown area to make sure you have a consistency with them. And always include utility and drainage as part of those projects so you're not doing a project where you're going back and redoing projects. Wayfinding and signage, you guys do have wayfinding and signage. It's always great to improve on that. Do a comprehensive plan that grabs your outer core, outside of your core, going to your edges to point people in the direction you want them to go, especially to get them to your downtown. Another consideration is murals and with historic and cultural themes, if you want to allow that as part of your signage ordinance. This was more for the EC, talking about collaborative efforts with private businesses, nonprofit organizations, and governmental entities. And when we discuss financial tools and funding mechanisms, both for the EC to fund projects and the city can also capitalize on these things, but also to help encourage development and redevelopment, not just in the downtown, but across the city. Now the fun part, numbers. This is the capital improvement plan. We are broken up into 3 cycles: short-term, medium-term, and long-term projects. Short-term will be going 3 years, and these are the projects that, with discussing with staff, we felt were appropriate to address almost immediately. But with the medium-term and long-term, don't forget about them. You have to start them now because they can be affected by funding. So for the short term, it was the downtown master drainage plan for $50,000. Develop public-private partnerships for parking agreements, and that's what Jim was talking about with those shared parking agreements. And that you do minimal cost, staff time, and consultant fees if you have to get attorneys involved in the discussions of agreements. Develop the downtown utility master plan, which is $50,000. We're assuming that the city would fund that and not the EDC. Mcallen Street Reconstruction with Streetscape, we estimated it to be $1 million, and the Jacob Lot improvements, we estimated to be $450,000. One thing to consider during budgeting is that these are to dollars dates, so anytime you move out from budgeting, we need to increase it by 4% each year. And then you do have potential with TechStop working with you on your right-of-ways and being able to fund these and have mechanisms to do it. Medium-term projects, we look at the Apple Lot Monument Park for $500,000. The John A. Butler and Prairie intersection, reconstruction improvements, which TechStop would be in favor of, is $550,000. Community building a property master plan, and that's developing a master plan for that property, so you know what type of activities, so you want parking, how you want festivals to integrate to that property. We estimated at $50,000, and for the ideas that we came, that have been incorporated into the plan, the implementation of that, we're assuming will be $350,000. That's not including the building. The building will be something you guys are going to have to discuss and determine how you want to incorporate it, if you want to start over, anything like that in the future. Maiden Lane Reconstruction with Streetscape, $630,000. Prairie Street Reconstruction with Streetscape, $680,000. Parking analysis and recommendations. This is where you, in the next 3 to 5 years, you look at your parking situation, determine if you have an issue, determine where your issues are, and that's $25,000 to determine that analysis, and come up with recommendations for your future. The wayfinding and signage study, $50,000. Buffer Street Reconstruction, $400,000, and that's just for the section within the downtown area. It doesn't include all of the buffer, but we highly recommend you looking at that project as an entire whole. And Pond Street improvement, $700,000. Now your big projects, which are your long-term 5 to 10-year projects, at 149, the reconstruction with Streetscape, not including right-of-way requisition, we estimate at $2.5 million. And you can do that. TxDOT does have ways for funding and helping out with that potentially. FM 149 at Liberty, the roundabout that we proposed to help slow down traffic, have a nice entry and monument into the downtown area. $1.25 million, and one of the 5 improvements of Streetscape, $2 million. There are a few other projects we talked about that were on private property, which the EDC can fund, obviously the city council cannot, which is Mcallen Street, the Brands and Decks for $500,000, the parking lot at the northeast corner of Mcallen and Carolyn for $150,000, and then the FM 149 reconstruction on private property for $370,000. That's the report yards and improvements that way. So one thing to consider, TxDOT is potentially considering doing a call for projects. It's always good to incorporate the project you want to present to them because it shows them that they can forward. When you do a call, something like that, this is the accomplished call. They answered a call in 2015. They got $28 million allocated and now it's been approved. So giving the street group that amount of money is a good way to structure funds, so we highly consider it. And we did hear from TxDOT, having great meetings with them and great feedback. They did say that 149 with the roundabout and the 105 were great contenders for those types of projects. With that, we'll turn it over to you for questions.
Is this something we can go to HGAC, get funding for as well?
That is the HGAC call for projects. It goes out through HGAC, but it's through TxDOT with the funding.
I make the motion we accept the downtown design master plan as presented.
A question.
Yeah, I got questions too. Sorry.
I've seen it for 5 weeks and I'm on the NEDC, so y'all go ahead and start studying and now we can make some good decisions going forward.
I'll second it.
Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we accept the downtown design master plan as presented. This motion is debatable. Amendable requires majority vote. It is open for discussion.
Where's your question?
Oh, I had a question on the, I guess that's the middle of 149 and 105, and the flag on the side, would that flag just be, it say metal building, I mean a metal image?
It depends on what kind. I'll let you know.
We wanted to give you some ideas of the scale. And so what that particular idea shows, and we imagine that your staff would work with a specific design when it's time to do it, but what that idea shows is essentially a metal sculpture made of pieces of metal that are coated to look like the Texas flag. And it might be 15 or 18 feet tall, and I've shared with NBC, our family has gone to take pictures, Christmas card pictures in front of the Sam Houston statue. This is the kind of, not that big, the sort of thing that this might be.
It looks like most of the design is on the east side of 149. Anything on the west side?
Yes, sir. That's a really good question. And while I'm not from Montgomery, I have heard a lot that there's
that you want to make sure that you include the west side and you want to make sure that people can get over there during festivals. And so I won't go back to it, but on several of the perspective sketches, you can see improvements, the same kind of streetscape improvements, little courtyards and places that encourage businesses, give businesses places to put out their things or have a spot to sit and eat outside or whatever. And so that is the same on the west side of Liberty Street as it is on the east side.
And when we get to that point of the intersection there, I guess it would be up to the council to, like, if we wanted to rename from Buffalo Spring all the way down to City Hall, Flagship Boulevard or something like that. Yeah. Because, we got Flagship Boulevard behind the building and it tied all in together.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Over at the community center, did you have anything for kids, like splash pads and horseshoes and all of this kind of stuff?
Yes, sir. And we were trying to kind of move quickly tonight.
Oh, okay.
But we did incorporate a spray ground or splash pad and play area. And again, these were just kind of to whet your appetite. Right. We're not asked to do detailed design for that, but it would be a place that the whole family would enjoy being.
Okay. Thank you.
Richard, you were going to expand.
Yeah, I was going to say one thing where Jim was going was, this is a conceptual.
Right.
It's not meant to get into all the little details, but assuming, with the EDC having already adopted this and assuming council's adoption, when these project items get moved on, they will be given specific design. Council's approval to adopt this tonight doesn't approve any of the work to move forward. All that work has to be individually approved. Some of it can run concurrent with items that might be in the current or future budgets. Construction projects have to be designed and approved individually, but it's in those that the design elements will be refined into specific items versus conceptual items.
And Richard, could I piggyback on that a little bit? This is a master plan. It's a vision. And in our experience, visions change over time. This council and other councils after you will have make decisions, and the public sentiment and public priorities will come into play. So this is really just setting a big picture for the long.
Right.
Just showing we're serious about it, so we can get some money possibly, right?
Absolutely.
It's really the starting point.
Yeah.
Do you know if the Virginia Adams lot, the $500,000 that we're talking about for that lot, does that include the purchase of the land, or no, it just includes the monument and,
Right.
Okay.
It's just design. Nothing includes purchasing a property at this time.
Yeah. And Mcallen Street, if we close that and add this to the park area, is that something that the city also needs to look at purchasing from? Or, I mean, like, how does that work when you have a city-maintained road? Who owns the land? How does it get?
So if the city is still using it for public purpose, they don't have to do an acquisition or anything. You're actually just changing how it's done.
Right.
Now, if you were to abandon the right of way, yes, you would have to abandon it to the two adjacent properties by law and look at it that way, because it can't be a standalone lot because it goes right away. But as long as you're using it for a public purpose, it's up to your discretion on how you use it.
I'll reiterate what I said at the EDC, advising engineers, staff, and everybody to be realistic about what we drive around here. We don't drive small cars, and so we've all been at those intersections and made tight turns, and we've seen 250s and 350s set 3 feet outside in the traffic. So you might have to move a curb 3 feet, especially that area coming out of the community center. I can't make that turn until I back up. So, yeah, there's some details like that as you go along, but consider that going along.
And I remember in the presentation meeting, you mentioned an average cost of about $1 million a city block to bury utility or electric lines. What would you throw a number out to if we're talking about burying all this drainage? What is the average expense to bury a city block of drainage and drop a sidewalk or extra parking spots on top of it?
Unfortunately, drainage is not like electric. It changes on where you are based on the drainage and your size. There really isn't a good number that I can throw at you to say, yeah, this includes, you can do it for this much at this time. We haven't studied that, so I don't want to put
Yeah.
false hope in your brain, because if Klepper is the top of the hill, great, it doesn't have much drainage, but if you get to the bottom of the hill and you need a 36-inch pipe, and you haven't accounted for those differences, or even larger, then it throws it off. So there's really not an average unless you're doing a typical subdivision design.
This is kind of a general engineering maybe for you two, I don't know, but given that we're about ready to get moving on sidewalk construction and given that the master plan recommends ADA considerations along the way, Julie's brought it up as far as the park and all of that, can't we just go ahead and consider that on every sidewalk that we do? Why would we not do that, I guess, right?
As
You
far
know what I'm
as
saying?
ADA?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
You're required by law.
Yeah.
Okay, because the study is mentioned in there, so that assumes that we're going to do that.
Yeah, you have to, with any public realm project for access, you have to consider ADA. If there's a way that doesn't meet ADA, you have to make sure you develop a second way.
Second way.
And Carol, were you able to remember, I remember you mentioning in the meetings, I don't even remember, the city team meetings, that there was an ADA compliance that you could do for the city. Do you recall what I'm talking about? I'm sorry. We talked about doing an evaluation for the city to see what was and what wasn't compliant, to see what we kind of needed to work at. Do you remember what that was called? Or Richard, have you? I know we talked about
Talk about the park for
the
sure.
annual inspection that hasn't been done in like many years.
I believe it's the ADA compliance surveys.
Just the
ADA. And that's something that,
I know that's not part of this, but I know there's other areas like the park that need updating for sidewalks, so.
and those we would look at addressing separately as
Right.
part of the plan. But it is something that, we're keeping on our radar.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure it was still there somewhere, sorry.
No problem.
Last question, and then our master plan, I guess overall, a lot of the culture will be involved into this also, right? Put into this.
City codes?
The Montgomery city culture of everybody,
Culture.
right?
I'm sorry,
As far as like monuments, as far as, yeah, I mean, that's up to city
You
council.
all have a pretty neat history, and we've had fun learning about that. And so when we've done work in other cities, like Jackson, Texas, or Center, Texas, or Jasper, Texas, we find it really important to communicate that history and that culture, not just to your visitors, sometimes your own citizens don't know fully. And so the things that you see the easiest are the big Texas flag stuff, but we envision that throughout there would be ways for people to see and learn about your culture.
Thank you.
Council, there is a motion on the
There is a
floor,
motion.
just as a reminder.
Pretty seconded.
Are you ready for the question? Are you sure? Okay. All those in favor of accepting the downtown design master plan, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the downtown design master plan. Item number 5 on your agenda, consideration and possible action to adopt city council procedures and decorum policy.
That was included for your review. This policy draft is intended to be a general set of procedures that can be adopted and then be restricted by city council as you find necessary. And the city attorney is here tonight if you have questions or comments on what they're presenting.
I certainly feel like that if we adopt it, we certainly need to adhere to it.
And I think one of the primary comments previous was the original version that was presented by the attorney was a much longer document, and so it certainly has been significantly carried out.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this, agenda item as presented.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept this agenda item as presented. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting this agenda item as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the item as presented. Item number 6 on your agenda. Next, consideration and possible action of a proposal for audit services.
Okay. At the August 24th meeting, City Council directed the city administrator to begin the request for proposals for auditing services. The city staff published an RFP for audit services on September 22nd. That was advertised on the city website and it was posted in the paper. In addition, several firms were contacted directly by city staff to inform them of the RFP for their consideration. Proposals were due to the city secretary by 3 p.m. on October 28th. We received one proposal that was turned in. That was from the firm Bell Harris Hotcheck, who had previously done the audit. They submitted to us in accordance with a 4-year engagement. There was a second firm who did submit late, and as per the RFP requirements, those were not accepted. So I have before you the one that was provided out to council, I believe, on Friday. City staff has reviewed that. We believe that is a worthy one to accept, and will lock us in for a firm of 4 years. I think one important note going forward, since it does look like there may be inflationary pressures on the economy, having a 4-year engagement may well be to our advantage. One advantage of still being with the same firm is that we will not have a restart process with the new firm. So city council's options are to either accept this or reject it and ask us to go out again. I would tell you, if we do go out for the RFP process, we will not have time to meet the requirements to have an audit done in a timely fashion. But if that is council's request, we will follow.
Who was the second firm that turned in late?
I don't recall the name. We set that box aside because, according to our RFP guidelines, we were not going to accept it. It was not received. It was received by a member of city staff after our hours. So it wasn't out of state firm, I can tell you that.
So do you know who you contacted for additional bids? Like, I know you said that city staff had contacted people.
Anthony Lasky, our senior accountant, he contacted 4 firms with names that he had received from others in his field that he needs at professional meetings. I don't have that list with me, but I could get it from council if you would like me to provide.
So earlier today, I Googled just CPAs that audit cities. I'm just going to look into it. So I found the city of Conrose, which is Whitley Penn, and contacted them just asking, hey, did you know that we had an RFP? They had no clue. They're very interested in bidding it. I also called the Willis ISD audit company. Same thing. They're very much so. Those are 2 local entities that have, audits already being performed by other companies, and we're very happy to bid our contract. They just didn't know it was out for renewal. And I know we had it posted. I know. I'm just
We're doing everything right? Posting it.
I feel like we went well beyond what we would normally do, even contacting other firms.
Right.
And it's like, I can't promise we would ever contact every firm.
Right.
The 4 that Anthony did contact were because he had positive references from there. We were trying to maximize the number we would receive. I can't tell you why they ultimately chose not to submit to us. I know, there's a lot of firms out there being careful about what they're contracting for. And there's a variety of reasons that they may not have chosen. They did not communicate that to us.
And just for clarification, this is twice, almost a little over twice what we paid last year for an audit, correct? This current bid that originally you had recommended that we send out for bid because it was double.
I want to say, I think it was around 15,000 last time, so it's not quite twice, if my memory is correct. I can tell you that what they put forward in this engagement letter is a bit above about $2,000 what their original engagement letter was for us. However, that engagement letter was also 2 years, and this is a 4-year engagement. So, and sometimes when you go out, you don't get better prices.
I know.
I make a motion we accept the proposal for audit services.
I'll second. It has been moved and seconded that we accept the proposal for audit services. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All in favor of accepting the proposal for audit services, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the proposal for audit services. Item number 7, consideration of possible action regarding acceptance of the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure for Town Creek Crossing, Section 1.
Good evening, and first we have a short memo from us regarding Town Creek Crossing Section 1. So this is a little bit out of our normal process. The reason is because of the time of year. So, what we're asking for tonight is acceptance of water and sewer, so they can allow the home builders to get started to make the taps. So all the water and sewer system has been inspected, we have received a maintenance bond for that infrastructure. We did a punch list inspection just this afternoon, and they're down to 2 meter boxes out of 100 that need to be straightened, so everything else is completed. So what we're asking for tonight is to conditionally approve this subject to all other items being completed. But what this does allow is they can start home construction, and we don't have to wait until the next council meeting to accept the infrastructure. What is left, so this will come back to all the streets, drainage, and all of the inspections that
Does this open us up for any liability, or is there any issue doing this kind of not in order?
No, so what we stated and kind of what we put on all the documents is this doesn't change, even if you're fully accepting it. Their responsibility to do it for the approved plans, their responsibility to maintain it, and it's still in the 1-year warranty period. So the only thing this is doing is really just allowing you to start home construction now, because the building's ready to go, the lots are ready, instead of waiting for everything at the same time. And when, especially with the holidays, the lighting, we'll be looking at it on. They significant progress. So I mean, if from when we did the inspection, a week and a half ago to today, we were at the same spot. But as of this afternoon, 95% of the items were complete. We had a maintenance bond in place. So there's every indication if those meter boxes aren't fixed right now, they'll be done by the next days.
I recommend we conditionally accept the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure for Town Creek Crossing Section 1 pending completion of all water and sewer punch list items and receipt of all required bonds and documents.
Second.
It has been seconded that we accept that the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure for Town Creek Crossing Section 1 conditionally, as long as all of the items that are listed here are done properly and without issue. I'm just going to put that, is those okay? Are y'all comfortable with those words? Repeat everything, I couldn't write it fast enough.
That works.
This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of accepting the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure for Town Creek Crossing Section 1 conditionally with all the other punch list items and agreements, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say no. The ayes have it, the motion carries. We will accept the water and sanitary sewer infrastructure for Town Creek Crossing Section 1 conditionally with all the items listed as requested. Done. Item number 8 on your agenda, next order of business. Consideration of possible action regarding acceptance of the SH 105 and Buffalo Springs Drive traffic signal warrant analysis.
Again, your short memo for me that's followed, starting on page 70 of your packet, the signal warrant analysis that was completed by Joseph Carter. They're not here tonight to present it, but I will go through it. This is done the traffic signal warrant analysis of Buffalo Springs in 1097. Did the speed study in 1097, so a lot of this is the same format, same information, new location. So I'll go through it. In short, flipping over to page 72, your packet, you'll see the executive summary. August 25th, which was a Wednesday, they did the traffic counts. They found the peak hours between 6:30 and 7:30 for the morning peak, and 4:45 and 5:45 for the evening peak. It's not shown on here, but during that day, they had 22,000 vehicles that went through that intersection. And what I thought was interesting was only 4.2% were not passenger cars. So between buses, articulated trucks, and normal box commercial trucks, those only account for about 4.2%, which I thought was
strange.
Is that high, low?
So I was looking at throughout the numbers, and I didn't have a chance to go back and look at the previous master plan or the mobility study that was done to see how I compared. To me, kind of off the cuff, I mean, of the total 22,000, you had 416 semis.
That's a lot for this little town.
So in percentage, it's not a lot, but in numbers.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when they ranked the first analysis, they did it based on existing conditions, so based on the traffic counts, and it did not meet the warrant for needing a signal at that intersection. So what we did is we went back and we did the review. We recommended they include additional developments, things that are going are shown. So if you go to page 82 of your report, you'll see that the new developments that they included in the analysis, which is counted in section 1, they assume 50% of the traffic from that development would continue southbound Buffalo Springs, including a tire shop, which we'll talk about in the next council meeting, or escrow agreement at the corner, and connecting the driveway that goes behind the tire shop over to Kroger, which obviously there's a lot of traffic generated from there, as well as the Panda Express and connecting that driveway, which is currently carrying its board. So all the traffic, potentially from Chick-fil-A and the Starbucks, can make its way over. So it does not include any other development around this area in their future projected condition. So no other of the open tracks being developed, nothing else between Cedar Stewart and Buffalo Springs being developed. And then in the 2023 condition, it did meet the single warrant analysis for the first 2 warrants, which is an 8-hour and a 4-hour volume. And if you remember from the last time, the warrants go, the number 1 counts more than number 2 counts more than number 3. So in that projected 2023 condition, it met both warrants 1 and 2, and those volumes. That's the basis of the study. But so if you flip through, page 83 shows how the warrants are listed on there, 2021 versus 2023. And then pages 86 through 137 are all just the backup data from the counts. It gets into the details of left, right, through traffic, just so you can get that level of detail. So what we're looking for tonight is just your acceptance of the study and also some direction on if we want to go ahead and get this in front of TxDOT to start that process. Again, just when we presented the 1097 traffic signal warrant analysis, we did receive a response a few months later saying that they agreed with it. They are moving to design from TxDOT. Again, we still don't have a timeline on that, but same thing here, knowing that based on these numbers, 2023 is already going to be a warranted intersection. And the timeline for the discount tire, the through street for both on the north and south side for those developments, I think both going to be first or second quarter of next year.
And Shipley's is at that intersection too, right?
That doesn't include Shipley's is one over.
Oh, it's one over.
Stewart,
okay.
But none of that's included in here today.
And we didn't include any of the projected growth from that development in the 1097 study, did we?
We did not. We didn't have to. So we had that discussion with them and said, do we need to? It already met with the existing conditions. So that's why we didn't include that additional layer.
So are the standards that much greater because it's so many more lanes? Like you can have that much more traffic on it, that's why we didn't meet it? Because 1097 is 2 lanes and 105 is 4 lanes there?
I think also when you look at the numbers and how it's broken down, it's the amount of traffic that's on Buffalo Springs today.
Oh.
So you have a lot of, so at 105, you have a lot of traffic obviously on 105, but when you look at the numbers, I believe it was 47 on Buffalo Springs. I don't know the exact number.
Buffalo Springs, so total 80, 40 in, 40 out.
100, so the total for the day was 114, approaching from northbound, heading northbound Buffalo Springs was 114, southbound was 499 of the total 22,000.
So just for clarity's sake, like as me, a regular person that drives those roads, I don't go to that intersection because it's too dangerous to cross. So it would be interesting to see how much traffic we could alleviate from the Lone Star Parkway light or from the 149 light by having another one there that these people didn't have to go out to those lights. They had a middle one, if that makes sense.
I agree, especially because right now the only option to get out of Kroger's on the Lone Star Parkway or on the 105.
Right.
And when that drive-through goes in, and if this was signalized, people are going to want to go in that direction because this is now a signalized intersection to get out on the 105 or cross 105. Because either one, everyone's your right.
I've got a question. So obviously Lone Star Parkway was to alleviate, take the big trucks out of downtown. And then When we have that, I don't think that there's many trucks traveling that, and that's fine. But when's our south loop coming in? I was talking to a developer right before this meeting, and that question was asked. And it seems as though the commissioner down there was supposed to be talking about it, and I asked him, and he doesn't have a timeline. We're at capacity, and we need to start planning that south loop. How, do we need just to obviously include him, but as well as get with TxDOT on that already? What is the timeline, Chris, on that?
I think the first step is obviously with the Redbird Meadows development.
Yeah.
And, how they are really kind of setting that first quadrant of how it connects to 105 on the west side of town, and then where it's going to follow through going back to the east. So, that's really kind of, and those are active discussions, getting that started. And, based on their estimated timeline is, by the first year, we're going to start seeing preliminary plots and things moving forward on Redbird Meadows. And then the rest of it's all right now is development. So there's not as far as the city goes, we don't have a funding source. We don't have, any type of transportation impact fee or, not suggested impact fee, but any type of transportation dedicated fund to set aside to go after and acquire right-of-way, things like that. So, I believe that especially between 149 and 2854, that's going to be heavily driven by the development of that property. And then when that goes is some type of public-private partnership or right-of-way acquisition and construction of that, and then it's connecting the pieces from that. So, as far as the timeline, there is not a definitive timeline. There's no funding set aside to do that. It's going to take...
We're about to be in gridlock.
The county...
There's 555 houses coming,
Correct.
and then there's over 1,000 houses now that were announced on 1097, and then in the city itself, almost 1,000 houses. I mean, and I spoke to the school district this morning, and they said they anticipate 5,000 rooftops around here. Times 2 cars, that's 10,000 more cars, and that's in the next 3 to 5 years. Our infrastructure can't take this.
Right. No, it's definitely, more partnerships with the county and getting those in, because those are all the county-wide thoroughfare plan. A lot of that, some of it is in the city, some is outside the city limits. It's going to take, pieces of all that the county and the city working together to get that planned out and pushed. And then once, right now, since it is developer-driven, once we have at least some of those big chunks set, it then becomes more county-city driven to go and try to acquire those properties and acquire the right-of-way to close those gaps. Right now, we're talking there is no right-of-way dedicated to the department all the way from 105 my line to 24 on the south side.
Well, and Redbird Meadows doesn't connect to 105 unless you're talking about Old Plantersville or Spring Branch, whichever way you want to call that road there, because it changes names. So, and I thought, Lone Star Parkway runs through the lumber mill. So if that came through the lumber mill and back around, are you talking about behind the ag barn and then just following Redbird Meadows around, or
And so, it was looked at a couple different ways, and so I think on the county's latest thoroughfare plan, and I need to go back and look, it takes more of a, doesn't necessarily hug Old Plantersville, it goes more south and around the development.
Right.
And then that then loops back around. There's also been the concept of, Spring Branch Road kind of jogging over and lining up, and now making that more dedicated thoroughfare and have an east-west corridor.
So then Old Dobbin Plantersville and tie it in somewhere there?
Right.
Okay.
And
to
so
answer your question,
if-
it's definitely time,
Yeah.
It's been time to continue these conversations with the county regarding the south loop, regarding the north loop and expansions of that, and continue that ball rolling that's, been slowly in the process for years.
Yep. Richard, you've been here 2 years. Have you ever had a meeting with Charlie Riley, the commissioner?
I've had 2 phone conversations and a couple of conversations with the staff. We are plugged into the Precinct 2 mobility studies.
Yeah.
And I've attended some of those. Dave has attended more than I have. So we have been plugged in with conversations there. The city is partly in Precinct 2, obviously,
Yes.
much more majority in Precinct 1. And so we have relayed statements about this in their mobility study that's coming to, I guess getting close to pretty close to the end there.
The problem is that we've got rooftops coming north, south, east, and west right now. And we've got to get we gotta get with Charlie and find out what, I mean, Chris, that south loop is gonna be imperative to have, and what I have seen and been told too is county's kind of pushed it off quite a bit. That south loop was supposed to be here 10 years ago, is my understanding. Is that Phillips there? He might be able to, but we need it.
And I'm looking at the county thoroughfare plan now, and where it was like in, the oval where it followed Old Plantersville, now it's like just a flat line. So it's like they pushed it out further where it's just it's like a non-existent road. We're just going to arbitrarily run it across houses that are there.
This is just an idea.
I know.
But they need to come up here and see what's going on so that we can get some action
Finding that area
done.
is, we always looked at the growth between 105 and 1488 out in this area as being, we'll worry about that someday.
Right.
And so much growth has occurred in the last 10 years that they're finding they should worry about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll make a point to reach back out there and make sure.
Let's start getting those conversations going.
They still have Old Womack Cemetery as a major arterial north-south road, which I don't see either, but
So do you need anything in the motion other than the discussion to have just?
Acceptance of the study, and then just, I think it's pretty clear, but it's clear directive to go ahead and start coordination with TxDOT regarding.
Well, I'll make the motion, we accept the traffic signal warrant analysis for the intersection of SH 105 and Buffalo Springs Drive as submitted.
Second. This is moving second that we accept the SH 105 Buffalo Springs Drive traffic signal warrant analysis. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote, open for discussion. I do have a question. Chris, when we do, I'm just concerned that going to the game and on Friday nights here, I mean, the traffic is jammed. Is this going to help alleviate? 105 is just all lights. And so is this going to help alleviate that for people to move quicker, or is this going to cause more impedance?
There's something going to slow people down, because every now and then there's a stop intersection where it's right now 105 is through. What it's going to help is obviously the people on Buffalo Springs getting out, and maybe that's more of a true alternate route for people to go versus all trying to get on 105.
it could push more traffic to Lone Star Parkway and have them go around that way, but
Not with the four-way stop there right now, that it's already to Kroger.
but I don't think enough people know about the back entrance to the stadium either, so that's the other.
This may be an opportunity for someone to learn about a few of those other routes.
You need to switch the home side to that side.
And I think it's also important to note with, we do have speed issues a lot of times on the eastern side of the town, people coming in from 105, they go from as fast as they're going, 55, 45, down into the city. They're having a number of accidents on, traffic crossing 105, Grover, Chick-fil-A sides. Another light there is going to help put better control there. And properly timed lights will also help traffic flow east-west with minimal direction, but still provide a slowing.
Can that be controlled from City Hall with these new lights, or would that be somebody on premise controlling?
I think that's a TxDOT communication question.
Can we request City Hall?
I think we can always request, and we'll see how far it goes, but sometimes those conversations can be fruitful.
Doesn't City of Conroe own all those lights along 105 and control them from downtown Conroe?
They do.
Yeah.
Which is why I think, if we have had the conversation from the beginning, we have better chance of having an impact.
I'm looking down at the infrastructure cost of
Council, you ready for the question? All those in acceptance of the SH 105 and Buffalo Springs Drive traffic signal warrant analysis, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will accept the SH 105 and Buffalo Springs Drive traffic signal warrant analysis. Last item on your agenda, number 9. Consideration of possible action to cancel city council meetings for November 23rd, 2021 and December 28th, 2021 due to city's holiday schedule.
The second meeting of the month for months of November and December are typically canceled due to holiday schedules between both council and staff. So business normal during these meetings is moved to the next council meeting. And so it's presented to you for your approval tonight.
I make a motion to cancel city council meetings for November the 23rd and December the 28th due to the holiday schedule.
Second.
It is known and seconded that we cancel the city council meetings for November 23rd, 2021 and December 28th, 2021 due to the city's holiday schedule. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote. It's open for discussion. All those in favor of canceling the city council meetings for November 23rd, 2021 and December 28th, 2021 due to city's holiday schedule, say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, and we will cancel the city council meetings for November 23rd, 2021 and December 28th, 2021 due to city's holiday schedule. Next up is the executive session. There is nothing on the agenda this evening, and so we'll move right along to council inquiry.
Just to clarify, the budget stuff for November will be presented on the December the 14th meeting, and then, I'm sorry, not just budget, but monthly departmental reports. I apologize. Yes.
Exactly. Everything that, the reports that would normally be presented at the second November meeting will be presented at the December 14th meeting.
And the insurance differentials that we were supposed to be presented at this meeting, will those be presented at the December meeting then? We talked about the staffing insurance. We bid it really high on the annual budget. We know by now what the numbers came in like on this meeting, and it's not on the agenda. So I just wanted to make sure that we knew what the medical insurance is what I'm talking about, the expense on the budget.
Well, we're in the middle, we're still in the open enrollment period right now, so we'll be able to have final numbers in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. I thought we had discussed that it'd be on this one, so I apologize. I thought that closed out September 30th.
I don't remember that meeting. I think when we discussed it, it was a matter of when it was complete, and we probably just had a different understanding of that.
Okay.
But I'll make a note so we can get it on the radar.
I would like to request that staff by first or second meeting in January, if you could, given these downtown recommendations for what amounts to a series of tax incentives and drawing businesses to downtown. Give us some options, some advice of how to proceed, whether that occurs first at MEDC will be fine, but we need to get rolling on that. And the second thing, even before that, is please show some progress in communication with the county, like it's just said. We don't want to be caught completely with our pants down on this, and we haven't even moved into negotiations to get what we know is going to be some thoroughfare issues. So.
And just for clarification, we've not done any smoke testing yet. Is that correct, Richard? We've not. We're going to do that in February? Mike's, I think that's what he's stated. February smoke testing.
Mr. Chris, you have any idea when they're going to finish those apartments on Players Morgan?
Neither do they.
I do not know. I know that they, you were just saying, was 55.
It's
elsewhere. Not
elsewhere. Okay.
I just want to add one thing as well, too. Just want to go on the record with and respectfully disagree with something that was said earlier. I do want to say that Richard and Dave, I do appreciate you guys very, very much for how hard you guys work and what you do for the city. I just think that you guys have been working under some extenuating circumstances that make things a little more difficult to do your jobs day to day. Just want to thank you for that.
Go on the record that I have nothing to do. I don't tell y'all how to do your job. We all agree that you can do your job just fine.
And they shake their head, yes.
And Richard, I'm still waiting on my bench for the park.
What's that lead time for benches?
It used to be 6 months, and it's just continued to grow. Those are the next benches we get in.
Get to grow the benches?
We're not looking elsewhere anymore.
Oh, okay.
But Mike was here earlier, he's not here. I will ask him about that tomorrow. See if he will.
May I like to make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
This is a second that we adjourn this meeting. This motion is debatable, amendable, requires majority vote, open for discussion. Actually, all those in favor of adjournment say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion carries. 7:47. We adjourn this meeting. Have a great week.
Yes, ma'am.
I was looking at the nice plants that Andy was talking about.